Hello, termites. It's night 86. Isn't that crazy? What am I drinking? A little Maker's Mark, little Kentucky bourbon. Yep, very nice. Have you ever been on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail? I have. It's awesome once you get to the places. Getting there, some of the roads are a little deliverency. And some of them go through dry counties, even stranger. Somebody asked why I have the fire in the blanket, because it is hot outside. I agree. But this is to give you a cozy feeling. Is it working? Do you feel cozy? I read all your comments. That's how I know the things you guys are talking about. Most of them are very, very smart, thoughtful, kind termites. There's a few of you out there, not the nicest termites, but every family needs a mean termite. So a couple of you can be mean, that's fine, as long as most of you are not. We're almost done with this book. So if you're wondering how long this book goes on, about five more nights probably. And then I thought I should jump forward, but then I started reading this. I'm like, no, this is pretty interesting. Okay? So I'm doing that. Here we go. Chapter 48, page 256, 57. For the nerds that want to know what page we're on, it's 257. In March of 1990, I was in Portland, Oregon, which, by the way, Trumpy said it's on fire, and it's been on fire for a long time. And I'm going to call bullshit on that because I work a theater there. I've worked a lot of theaters there. The Aladdin. I used to work the club years ago. Harvey's. I don't even know if that's still there. And then I moved on to an even better theater. Now I can't remember the name. It's not important. But I was just there in like January or February of this year. And no, I was not on fire. Nothing was on fire. 1,200 people showed up. No one was on fire. We were downtown. I stayed in a hotel. That was not on fire. So just in case you're thinking about going to Portland, there's a lot of things that are not on fire. My cousin Tom lives out there. He says it's not on fire. I have on-the-ground reporters. Just saying. I like Portland. In March of 1990, I was in Portland, Oregon, playing an Radio Appreciation Day show. Boy, these country people really have to do a lot of that stuff. That we don't really, because we don't have labels, so we don't have to do all that. I've been on the bus, showering, getting ready, and hadn't heard the app before me. Then as I was sitting on the bed, putting on my nylons, what fucking year was this? Nylons. I'm surprised it doesn't say pantyhose. Remember the ones that came in the eggs? Legs? Came in a plastic egg? I think I just like the egg more. Then as I was sitting on the putting on my nylons, I heard wild applause. It was overwhelming. Clearly, Travis Tritt was something special. I made a point to go introduce myself. And after my show, we sat around backstage talking. I had seldom met such a young performer with such a clear vision of his music. I can honestly say, I don't think I know one thing Travis Tritt sings. I know I'm supposed to. I know he's famous, but I missed it. I'll have to giggle it after I'm done. He was a southern rocker and made no bones about it. He knew that because his music was a little edgier than the norm, it might mean he's overlooked for awards, and that some songs may not make it to the top of the charts, but he was not going to consider changing his sound. I like to think of myself as a rebel, as an outspoken woman who fought this to make music my way. Truth is, I have often tried to speak up and have just as often gotten scared and backed down. So I love listening to this new artist speak his mind with such conviction. I hope the business didn't knock him out of it. I'll get a little ahead of the story here and tell you it hasn't. I haven't heard of him compromising yet. We decided to go on tour together. Now see, they usually won't put two headliners together in comedy. Sometimes I split a lot of corporate gigs with John Panette, who I super miss. I loved him. He's passed away. And me and Lou do charity stuff, but usually you're on your own. We decided to do a tour together, and one of the shows we were set to play was Westbury, New York on June 27th. I had the 25th and 26th off, so I came in early to do a few interviews, shop, and see the sights. Presley and Mother were traveling with me, that's her baby, as was the label's publicist, Kathy Gurley. I'd learned this was Travis's first time to New York, and I got to thinking about what an experience your first trip to the Big Apple ought to be. I remember one vivid picture from my very first trip to New York back when I was 13 years old on Columbia Records. Dad and I flew in for some talks with CBS executives, and we had lunches and dinners and meetings. And the thing that stands out in my mind was the fact that we stayed in a huge hotel, yet the rooms were little and cramped. I thought, if you just look on the outside, you'd think this place is a palace. But once you get past the surface, it's not what it seems. Just like a lot of things, show business, relationships, recording contracts, management deals, they're not what they seem like. I wanted Travis to have a better memory of his first trip, and I wanted to feel like a star. So I started making plans. I got us tickets to see Phantom of the Opera. Okay. I know you guys want to be done with the book, but I have to tell you this Phantom of the Opera story. My parents never go to stuff like that. Like, they'd rather go to the Cardinal game. But my dad, when he was still working, somebody gave him 2 tickets to go see Phantom of the Opera at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, which is super duper fancy. And those tickets would, even back then, would have been, $100 or something expensive. And so I guess I saw him the next day, and I'd never seen it, and it was popular then. I'd heard about it, and I go, how was Phantom of the Opera? My dad goes, it was horrible. It was horrible. I said to your mother halfway through, is he speaking German? Then I go, well, what about the song? So he goes, he stole that song. Here's the song. School days, dear old gold. He stole that song and put it in Phantom of the Opera. I said, did you wait for the end to see the big chandelier drop? No, we left at halftime. I said to my mom, why did you let him leave? She said, I couldn't stop him, and I didn't really like it either. Okay. So that's my parents' review of Phantom of the Opera. And are they speaking German? And the songs are stolen. Not my words, their words. So she planned on taking him to see Phantom of the Opera for the next night. And I planned to take him to see my favorite sports bar, Mickey Mantle's. My favorite sports bar in New York, Foley's, which is a St. Louis Cardinal bar, sadly has closed during the pandemic. And I don't know if it's going to reopen. It's heartbreaking. It's my favorite place to go in New York City. Cardinal stuff everywhere. But they showed all sports, but they were Cardinal-centric. I also got Kathy to go out and buy one of Travis's cassettes so I could plan a little surprise for him. Then I started taking care of my business. I did several print interviews, Mother, Kathy, and Presley, and I shopped for some new clothes for Presley, who by this time almost had an extensive wardrobe as I did. Then we stopped for lunch. One of the great things about Presley's personality is that people always seemed to be drawn to her. Waiters and waitresses would stop and fuss over her, and they'd always have ideas about what they could prepare that a 9-month-old child could eat. By the end of the day, Mother and Presley were ready to go back to the hotel and crash. I was ready to take Travis out on the town, so I waited in the room and in the lobby. There was no sign of Travis's bus, so I went ahead and took Kathy with me to see Phantom of the Opera, since Mother insisted on staying at the hotel with her granddaughter. The next afternoon, I was in my room watching television when Travis called. Man, look at this city. We're right on the outskirts of town. Where the hell have you been, I asked. I had all kinds of plans for us. We got held up, he said, which is the way most entertainers explain being late from anything. Keep the plans, though, because I'm on my way. See, that is bullshit. If somebody is a whole day late and I say, where were you? We got held up. No. I'm going to need to know a little more than that. Because I bought you a ticket and waited around. We got held up. It was so easy to get away with shit before cell phones. Just nonsense. Bullshit. I knew we were screwed as far as getting Phantom of the Opera tickets. I had a hard time getting those, so as a last-ditch effort, I called Charlie Feldman at BMI, who transferred from Nashville to the New York offices a few earlier. I don't know how Charlie pulled it off, but he got us tickets for another Broadway musical hit, Grand Hotel. Never heard of it. I arranged to meet Travis in the hotel lobby and told him to put on his New York party clothes because I was ready to rock. So I'm waiting at the bar in a white tailored suit, and Travis walks in wearing leather jackets and boots and looking every inch a redneck southern rocker. I loved it. We headed out to see New York. After we saw Grand Hotel, we headed over to Mickey Mantle. Sure enough, just as instructed when we walked in, the music was blasting through the place, and Travis was singing, I'm a member of the country club. Country music is in my blood. Travis just fell out. From there, we hit everything happening every happening club in the city, and we had cocktails at every one of them. So she's back drinking. What? That Betty Ford thing didn't last very long. But good for her, I guess, whatever. As long as she's not doing, pounds of cocaine and beating people up and getting beat up, we've already made progress. We stayed out half the night, and by the time the limo came to take us out to Westbury, we were so hungover and exhausted, we slept all the way. Travis had been worried about the New York audiences and how they'd respond to his music. I told him he shouldn't be concerned, because Westbury draws a country-loving audience when Nashville artists hit the town, and I was right. That crowd couldn't get enough of him, and the folks at Mickey Mantle's couldn't either. Travis later told me when he went back on his next trip to New York, the fans swarmed around him like he was the biggest star in the sky. Well, I wanted Travis to like New York, and I wanted New York to like him. He did, and it did. I love it when a plan comes together. It was while I was touring with Travis that I got into a situation that I can only categorize as one of them stupid, dumbass deals that goes down but has no acceptable explanation. Wow. I can't wait to hear what happened here, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to say that now. When something goes super wrong on the road and somebody asks me, maybe my agent or the publicist, Pam, if Pam says, why did I miss radio or why did I miss my press, I'm going to say, Pam, I can only categorize this as one of those stupid, dumbass deals that has no acceptable explanation. I think if you were that forward and honest with people, they would be dumbfounded. Because we all try to make excuses. That's what I like about her. She just goes, I don't know. It was dumb, and it happened. Exactly. The band member I'd come to rely on so heavily during and after my pregnancy was having a birthday. Doesn't sound weird yet, right? So I took everyone to dinner. I'd put him in charge of much of the touring planning, and he made the road much easier. I didn't have to worry about a lot of the little details that sometimes make me crazy. Things like where the equipment was and who was feeling sick and who needed guitar strings about 5 minutes before the show. The fact that I'd been vulnerable, this man stepped in and was supportive and gave us a powerful link. My father had always been the man I counted on, and now I had another shoulder to lean on and someone I could trust to look out for my interests. I had a friend. I see no problems yet. It's all fine. The whole band went out to dinner, and Travis joined us for a while. It was one of those celebrations where everybody's having a great time, laughing and telling jokes. Usually a redneck too would hear go, cutting up. We were just cutting up. We were laughing and cutting up. But through it all, I was watching my band member. I didn't think I'd ever noticed this before, just what a sweetheart he was. Oh, I'd always thought he was cute, but because of my dad's band rule, I'd never gone past first glance stage. After dinner, the band and I went back to the bus. My favorite musician and I started talking about the show, and one by one, the other band members left. Okay, I see where this is going, but I don't know why it'd be bad yet. Till it was just the two of us. I started feeling almost nervous, like a kid with a first crush. For one thing, I knew he was married and had kids. Okie dokie. This is going to be the problem. He's not under public scrutiny, and I'm sure he wants it to stay that way. My wife and I are splitting up, Tanya, he said as if he could read my mind. What's the problem? We haven't had any kind of marriage for the last couple of years. I'm only here for the kid. He put his head in his hands. I don't know what I'll do if I lose them. I put my arm around him, forgetting yet another of my daddy's rules. Quit trying to save unhappy people. Well, he's not necessarily unhappy in general, maybe just at the moment. Maybe Daddy needed to qualify rules with little sub rules to apply to general rule. Something to think about that, Daddy. When they go under, they'll drown you right along with them because your grip on the life raft ain't all that tight. So he's saying, she kind of crack. You ain't got a grip? He stayed with me on the bus that night. We woke up the next morning. We were like two kids ready to go out to conquer the world. I believed every word he said about his faltering marriage, and I believed him when he told me he was in love with me. Whoa. There's a big problem with the love affair between friends. You think you know everything about the person. You don't think they'd lie to you or lead you on because they've been there for you on so many other levels. That's what you think. But the heart can lead the mind's good judgment astray. That night marked the beginning of what I thought was going to be the best time of my life, and it ended up being the worst time of my life. I understand why female artists like Tammy and Reba have husbands who play a big role in their careers. They travel together, make decisions together. The road isn't such an empty place because your partner's there with you at almost every truck stop. You don't feel like you're out there drifting, as if you have someone on the bus. If you have someone on the bus who knows every detail of the tour, the show, your career plans. I didn't know why I was so insanely attracted to this man. Sometimes I thought it was my age. I was 32. She's only 32 at this point in the book, ladies and gentlemen. And we're almost done with this book. I don't know if there's a second book, but this has been a shitload of living in 261 pages. Jesus, my God. I was 32, and I knew that women get more sexual in nature as they get older. So I kept thinking I was just going through a stage, maybe like a midlife crisis. Well, you've been an adult since you're 13, so yeah. Except I didn't feel like it was a crisis. I felt like smooth sailing. Okay, termites. Should I go another paragraph? Let's go one more, because we got to get through this to move on to our next book. Over the next few months, he and I became inseparable. He seemed to adore Presley, and of course, that was a priority, finding a lifetime mate. He had to love my daughter. I had no illusions of this man stepping into Ben's shoes as a father, though. From the minute Ben knew about Presley, he was a doting daddy. Ben called me and came to see her daughter whenever he could, and of course, if I played anywhere close to L.A., he could spend time with her. Sometimes when I look at the two of them together, I feel sadness it hadn't worked out between us. I wonder what it would be like to be married to the father of my child. I try to picture what it would be like to have another child with him, and it would be a real American, all-American family. But I thought our time had come and gone, and now was the time for me and my new beau. If Ben ever questioned or noticed how much time I was spending with my band member, he never mentioned it. Okay, well, this is clearly going to go bad. She's already said it's going to go bad. I'm going to trust her. Oh, my God. The shirts are here, termites. And they're going to be on the website this weekend. So when you see this video, go to my website. I don't have one to show you. Paddles, my camera person for this video, is going to go get one. So I'll just sit here and drink a little Maker's Mark, and I'm going to show you the t-shirt. Very excited, and I did not skimp. These feel good. I hate it, and it's very difficult when you're ordering this stuff to know what you're going to get unless you physically go there, but I don't even know where that is, because it's Lewis's people in San Francisco. They're very nice, and it's all the girls out there that help with the merchandise. And this, it's so soft. Oh my God, because I paid extra, because I don't want the cheap ones, they just feel like cardboard. So look, it says Night Night Termite, and that says Worthy Termite. This is the back, and then the front, it says Kathleen Madigan's Storytime, and there's another termite. Now here's the thing. I only got larges and extra larges because these are not meant to be worn out. You're supposed to, I have 2X and 3X too. By the way, for you chubby termites, those t-shirts were a little bit more. I'm not going to charge you more, but just know I loved you enough to order more. They actually, seriously, but that's all right. They're super soft. I didn't get any smalls or mediums, even though that's what I would wear in real life. We're not wearing these out. Nobody is. So don't holler, wow, that's smalls and mediums, because you're not supposed to wear them outside your house. It's for bedtime, nap time, cozy time. So you go. See, I promise. Promise is made. Promise is kept. How fun is that? And the larges will shrink up, ladies. Shrink them up. Dry them up. All right. And on that note, what am I going to say? This has been a long video. I'm going to say night, night, termites.